Well, hello there, stamping friends. This is Traci Raether from Plum Crazy Stamping. So glad to have you here today. It is March 26th. Today just happens to be my wonderful husband's birthday. So, all day is going to be a celebration. And so, I'm really happy to be with you for a little while today as we do some awesome stamping. So, if you remember last week, I introduced to you a online exclusive product that I did call it a product spotlight. It ended up being like a free class because I kind of started stamping and I didn't know when to stop. And I actually made 11 cards out of one 12 by 12 piece of designer series paper. So I'm going to pick up where I left off. I'm going to continue to use this product suite to help you see different ways that you can use this suite of products or a suite like it. I'll just remind you as you come aboard today to please sign in the comments. And if that's on Facebook, if you are on YouTube, you can also sign in the comments. You just need to be in your YouTube account or your Google account, and then you can use the comments. So, hello, Kim, and hello, Sharon. So nice to see you here. And Sharon, thank you for sharing this broadcast. I really appreciate that. The more stampers we can reach, the better. And let's see, what else do I have to tell you before I flip this down to the desktop? I think we're ready for that. So let me do this. And we are going to look at, this is just a printout of the online exclusives. And we're going to be continuing to work with this 12 by 12 set of designer series paper. I'm going to show those to you a little bit closer here on the camera. This is actually called the Mixed Media Florals Suite Collection. And I have a little deal for you. If you like these products and you want to order them, I'm going to give you a little bonus. Today, we are going to be using the low profile dots. We're going to use the mixed florals bundle. Actually, we're just going to use the stamp set of that bundle today. And we're going to use the sentiments and the single flower of the mixed labels set. And let me show those to you in person. It's probably a little bit better look. So let's first start with the paper. And this paper is gorgeous. And this is 2 pages each of 6 back-to-back designs. So this has got a nice stripe on the back. We've got these beautiful colors, some beautiful garden green as we're getting ready for spring. Here's more leaves and flowers. I like that they have some black and white so we can have some neutrals. Once again, look at this. Now you could color this in and make it absolutely stunning. Some more colors. We're going to be using this designer series paper today, and I chose it because I loved the front. I love boho blue. And then we're going to benefit from seeing both sides of this designer series paper in the trifold card design I'm going to share today, which makes it kind of unique. And I chose the colors that I'm doing by looking at the back of the packet of papers, and all of the colors here are listed, which is just a clue to you when you're trying to design cards and you're using some of Stampin' Up's designer series paper. Use the back and look at all the colors. It really helps to make stunning looking cards because they've already matched the colors. Okay, so 2 things before that bonus I mentioned is last month, my product spotlight was storybook moments. And as I was going through a week of sharing this product with you it went out of inventory because it was so popular. I just want to remind you that it's back, and I am honoring the deal that I said I would have just for February. I'm actually doing it through March 31st. So you can now get the Storybook Moments Suite and all the parts and pieces because they're back in inventory. And if you would choose to purchase that through Plum Crazy Stamping, I will give you this 4-card free tutorial and the free tutorial of the 12 cards that I featured during the Spotlight Week. And then for this month, any $50 purchase. So if you do decide to get that Storybook Moments or anything else from Plum Crazy Stamping by the end of the month, I am going to be sharing this Memorable Blooms 4-card tutorial with you for free. And I was looking at this more closely. These cards could be done with so many different sets. So maybe there's something else you like in the catalog that's a floral and not necessarily this one. You could use these design ideas to help you in making your cards. And then the last bonus, so if you decide to buy this month's product spotlight, which is the Mixed Media Floral Suite, I will give you an additional free tutorial of the 11 cards that I did last week. The card we're going to do today, which is a really cool trifold, and I'm going to do another one on Friday when I host the Plum Crazy Stamping project design system with you. Now that's a webinar that you need to sign up for, but it's free. And I'm going to be using the project design system to create one more card using this suite to give you all kinds of ideas that you can use in your paper crafting. Oh, let's see. A lot more people are coming aboard here. Hi, Kathy. Okay, you've got a small pack, not the whole suite. Hi, Donna. Thank you for sharing and for loving this broadcast. Betty, hello. Corey, hello. Okay, so these were the cards I made last week, and this is the one piece of designer series paper that was in the packet that I didn't show you. And so we made, like I said, 11 cards from this packet. So these are just kind of a reminder of gorgeous and very, very simple cards that we made. We did a little embossing with the, plastered painting 3D embossing folder on here. We had all of the sentiments. We had sentiment labels that are included in this suite as well. And then we also had these gorgeous gems were also a part of it. So then we're going to pick up where we left off from last week, and I can't wait to show you this trifold. Wow, you are going to be wowing people with this. So let me show it to you. So here is this beautiful, very colorful card that you can see. I've used the DSP, and you can see the back of the DSP. But this trifold lets me use a lot of the stamps. I'm going to use my Stampin' Blends and do a little coloring today. And we've got additional embellishments in the brushed brass butterflies that I also decided to add to this. And when you see how easy this is, I think this is going to end up being one of your favorites because it is a wow card. But you know what? When you know the mechanics about how to put it together, it's not that hard. So let's go ahead and get out our parts and pieces here. Now the tutorial for this individual session is going to be in my weekly email. So if you are not on that list, you'll want to sign up, and you can do that here on my business page so that you can get the tutorial and all the card measurements. Hi, Diane. Glad to see you. Okay, so let's talk first about the parts that we have here. So the main piece here of our designer series paper is 5 1/4 by 12 inches. So this is all the way across that designer series paper, but 5 1/4 inches. So you could actually make 3 cards like this out of one piece of designer series paper. All right, so we've got that. Then we actually have for the card base itself, it is not scored and folded. It is a single piece of cardstock, granny apple green, that is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So this is the size of a normal card base, but we just have, it doesn't fold over because we fold the card itself out of the DSP. All right, and then as we're trying to make this pop and take advantage of the black inked lines in the designer series paper, I decided that I was going to do some matting in basic black. So I have this card insert layer that is 3 3/4 by 5 inches. And I wanted to have room to put the designer series paper on here first and make sure that you could see that border. And then that's why I used the next measurement for my black cardstock layer. And then the white, basic white card insert is actually 3 1/2 by 3 3/4 to use another frame to really make this look special. And then where I have these other focal points that are going to be a part of the card on the different folds that we're going to make, the black squares themselves are 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. And then the white is 2 1/2 inches by 2 1/2 inches. Okay. So let's go ahead and score our cardstock right out of the gate here. And I don't believe I did any of that. I'm going to actually do that with you. I just wanted to double check here. Let me get my trimmer. And we'll go ahead and do our scoring. So this is actually going to be scored in 2-inch increments. And I'm going to have to use, let's see if I can do this so you can see it on the top here. And I'm going to start with it underneath. Now I'm doing everything opposite, so I'm going to have to think a little because I'm also talking, right? You guys know how that goes for me sometimes. Okay, so we have this, and now across here, I'm going to score this at 2 inches, 4 inches, 6 inches, and 8 inches, okay? So I've put my cutting blade away here, and I'm going to measure at 2 inches. And now remember, you are scoring designer series paper, not cardstock. So don't press too hard because you don't want to rip your designer series paper. Now I'm going to go out to 4 inches and score that. Okay, and then I'm going to go out to 6 inches. And then to 8 inches. And this is how I'm going to get that accordion fold to have all of the different layers. All right, so we've got that scored. Let me go ahead and get the trimmer out of the way. And we're actually going to, the larger end here that is scored with at 8 inches, is going to find itself right on my card base. So that's going to be my first fold down. And then I am going to go back and forth with this accordion, folding every 2 inches. Okay. And so then I'm just going to take my bone folder and just, make those a very nice crease here. And then we're going to adhere the designer series paper to the card base here, just with some glue. And I'm just going to center this on the card base. Okay. Now I'm going to put the black cardstock layers on here just to kind of have our structure in place. So I'm not going to do the white because I'm going to stamp on that, but I can put my black layer on here. So I'm going to go ahead and just glue that down. And I'm going to center that on top of the designer series paper so that it is framed with just a little bit of that color peeking through, right? Okay, then we have the black squares that are our cardstock layer. And actually, how I'm going to line them up is I'm just going to center these so that between here and here, I've got it centered. And then I only want to glue on this side. So how I do that is I actually flip it right over and line it up the way that I had it before. And then put glue just on the side over here and use my paper, fold mark to keep me where I need to be here. So I don't glue my whole card shut, right? Okay. And then I'm going to flip this back over. And if you are concerned when you're doing this that you don't have any chance of gluing your card shut, you can use your silicone mat. And nice thing is I can still see through it here, but I'm just going to glue down my black square, right? Oh, and there was some glue on my silicone mat that I didn't clean off from the other cards I'm doing. So I'm just going to rub those little pieces of glue right off of there, which is nice. They're dry. They're sticky but dry, so they come right off. Okay. Sometimes it's nice to have more than one silicone mat because you can tell I've been doing a lot of gluing, so I have a lot of glue on here right now. Okay, so I've got the first one. Now I'm just going to use that to help me place the second one. So let me get the glue on the back side of this one. And I'm going to use the same seam as a reference point. And having this much glue on the side is plenty to hold this in place. And now what I'm going to do is, before I bring that other piece over, I'm going to just line these up and use this as my pattern as to where to put it, right? Because I want them to lay over each other. And then I'm going to pull the card over and push it down. All right, so now we've got the structure of our card all put in place with those layers. Now they could be any colors depending on the designer series paper you're using, but with the black ink lines, I liked the black. And then I like it that I have the white that I'm going to be actually stamping. So let's go ahead and stamp our first image. The card front image is going to be, I need my mat because these are photopolymer. So I just have a piece of scrap paper here because I'm going to be going over the border of this paper. Let me get my lid on here for a little while. Okay. And I'm going to use Memento Black because I am going to be using Stampin' Blends. And when I use my Memento, then this doesn't bleed. It will dry, and I'll be able to then use the alcohol markers. Just want to make sure I'm getting a good image on this large stamp. Okay. And then I am looking at what area do I want on here. Now I want to straighten this out a little bit because I want this to look like, it's just standing straight up. I'm trying not to hit this little flower, but leave a couple leaves. So let's see how it goes. And we want that on there. Okay. And I'm going to just press down here. All right, and we have our design on there. Now I'm going to make the second. Oh, I want to add a little something. Now there are ladybugs in this stamp set, and there are 3 different kind of ladybugs, and I'm going to use them all. And they are as cute as a bug. I'm going to put a little ladybug right here in the corner. Okay, so we've got that one. Now we're done with that. Now we're going to go ahead and take the next square and make the next panel. Now this is the one where I'm using just a single flower and a sentiment. So I'm going to do the sentiment first, so I make sure that I have enough room to put the flowers on, but that the sentiment fits. I don't want to do my flowers too high and then not be able to fit the sentiment on here. So let's just, I try to do everything as straight as I can when I'm doing it to have the best luck with what I'm stamping. So now it's the sentiment. Okay, you're pretty wonderful. And I'm going to take this single flower and I'm just going to go along the bottom of this and make a little field of flowers. So this is from the Mixed Labels, where this is the Mixed Florals stamp set. This is the Mixed Labels. And that is where I have the sentiments and then these flowers. I'm going to start right in the middle, right with kind of where I want that to go. And then I'm going to go next to it and next to it on this side and next to it there and right there. Okay, so I've got my little field of flowers and that is now ready to be colored. And then we're going to do the card insert next. And I actually, let's see, I have the sentiment here for this one is going to be, so glad we're friends. This is a great card to just send to a friend you haven't seen in a while. And, it's very happy. So we're going to put this right up in the corner. Little bit different than to putting it right in the middle. Now I'm going to do a little decorating with, where's my stamp that has the foliage on it? Here we go. So this is a little bit bigger. I'm going to do the ink upside down on here. To answer your question, Kathy, it does count more as far as my business if you are watching on YouTube, and it really helps when you subscribe, and then you'll also know when I'm live. So I guess YouTube is a little bit better, and Facebook has just put a new policy in place that lives are going to come off of Facebook in 30 days. So I'm figuring out how I'm going to manage that. But all of the videos that I've done will still be on YouTube. So it might be a better go-to for you to actually, watch more videos. So just FYI, thank you for asking. All right, I'm going to put a little bit of this now down on the bottom and kind of leave the center. to do a little writing. So this one I'm going to put from the bottom up here. All right, and then, like I said, these little ladybugs. So let me use this one again. And then I've got two other ladybugs that I'm going to add on here because I'm going to use that rule of 3 to make these. Just take that one off. Let's see which one. They are in different degrees of flight. All right, this is the one that is the most on the move. So the wings are wide open, and I'm going to put this little one on the top of the card like it's taken off. Okay, and then the one that's kind of getting ready to take off, I'm going to put down here in the corner. So this one's got a little bit more jump in its step. All right, so I've got all my little ladybugs. All right, now we're ready to do our coloring. And the thing is, remember, Stampin' Blends will bleed through. So you never want to set them on top of the card because they'll bleed through. So I'm even just going to keep them here on this scrap paper as I color them. And going to bring in all of my Stampin' Blends that I've kind of used to color these. We'll just start here with the card center, and you can use any colors that you want. I am going to use more Granny Apple Green in this one, and so I have dark and light. So all of our Stampin' Blends come in a pair, and you get a lighter and darker version, and that helps you create shadows in what you are coloring to add more dimension to your designs. And like I said, you always want to stamp your images with memento so that you don't have them bleed. I'm going to start, I like to do light to dark. So I'm going to use my nib point because of how small these leaves are. And just color right in the leaves. I hadn't been doing a lot of coloring. So I'm doing coloring today, and I am going to be coloring Friday when I do the webinar. And I'm going to teach you a different technique in Friday's webinar. So you'll want to tune in and not miss that. And like I said, as long as you're registered, you'll have access to the replay video in case you can't make that time of day. I hope you'll join me live, but if you can't, as long as you're registered, you will receive the information. So I know everyone has such busy schedules. All right, so there's the green on there. Now the thing is, we always do just not a whole bunch of images at the same time, because what happens is the blendability, or the opportunity to actually shade and blend, you don't want this to be dry all the way. You want to be able to come back with the other marker and actually do some blending. So now I've got the, some dark added around the lines that are there. And now I'm going to come back in so that it doesn't just kind of bluntly end. And I'm going to use kind of a circular motion, and that's going to help blend my inks together and show you shadows. Okay, and I think I need a little bit more there. So you can see around the center of the leaves are a little darker because that's where I put the dark Granny Apple Green, and then a little lighter around the edges. And then the underside of the leaves I did in the darker Granny Green Granny Apple Green. Okay, let me just do this other leaf. And a lot of times you just have to take one stroke and, it colors so well. All right. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of the dark color on here. Once again, underside of the leaf, kind of where the leaf meets the branch, maybe. Just putting a dot of the dark green in there. And then going back to the light so I can blend it together. Okay, so those are how we manage just the green foliage. And now the little ladybugs. Now these are so easy. I am going to get Poppy Parade. This is the light. Let's see, I think this is the dark. Yep, dark Poppy Parade. And just add a little of that for each ladybug. So this is really easy because they're just red and black. Now, if you wanted the black dots to show a little more, you could use the light Poppy Parade. But I kind of like them to pop with the deeper color. All right, so we're going to set that aside. Now we're going to go ahead and do our flowers, and we're going to do those in boho blue. Kind of pull out the color in the designer series paper that we're using. And let's see, I have, oops, I don't want to use dark yet. I'm going to use the light first. And these are so simple, just to go right around the circle. It's nice though when someone opens a card and has multicolored, images. I don't always take the time for it, but I do think it really adds to the pop of this card, and the fact that the card doesn't close and, the designer series paper accordions out, they're more likely to actually see all of the coloring that you've done. So to me, it's worth it with this style of card. Okay, so now I'm going to do just a little darker blue towards the center. That's going to be my, oops, not the brush tip though. Right around the center. And then they're going to see that there's two shades. And this one I'm not going to blend. I want it to stay darker in a little circle around the center of the flower. And then this one I'm going to use light mossy meadow for the leaves. And the stems. So I'm just going to put a little green on there. All right, so now that panel's done. And we're ready to do the front of our card. And this is where I'm going to do a little bit extra as far as shading in different colors. So I think I'm going to stick with the mossy meadow for my leaves here and the stem. I think I will do that when I'm done. But I'm going to make these flowers match from one panel to another. So there's some continuity with the color. And also this matches the designer series paper that I'm using with the card so well. That's how I'm picking colors, I guess. Does anybody have any questions about Stampin' Blends since I'm using them today? If you're thinking of something that you've been wondering, I'd be happy to share a little more information. I've been having a lot of fun with coloring recently because I did something on the Stampin' Write markers and coloring with those, and then also using blending pens with that if you haven't done that, and then Stampin' Blends and watercolor pencils. So there's a lot of options with coloring. It's been fun. And I also feel like right now with spring, I like using color in what I'm doing and actually doing the coloring. You know, flowers, you can do so many things. That's why I can't wait to show you on Friday what I'm going to do with the coloring of flowers. It's pretty awesome. Okay, so now, oops, missed this leaf. All right. Now I'm going to just put a little dark mossy meadow on here. Not much. Just a little bit on that line and that line, and blend that in. Okay. All right. Now for the flower. I want to do some... Hi, Betty. Nice to see you're joining us. Let's see. I am going to take different colors of, I'm going to do Flirty Flamingo. So I've got light and dark Flirty Flamingo. And I'm going to use, let's see here, Daffodil Delight for the center. And I'm going to shade that with a little crumb cake. And then I've got Calypso Coral, I believe. Oh, no. Light Poppy Parade, Dark Poppy Parade. And I do have, I believe, let's see. Nope, that one's real red. This is the Dark Calypso Coral. Okay. All right. So I want this to not just be one solid color. So I'm going to start with the lightest color and put a little bit of color down. Now, these are a little thicker, so I am going to use the brush tip. And remember, when you're coloring, you want to stay inside the lines. You don't want it to bleed over. So when you're pressing, know that this spreads out a little bit. So just be mindful of that. Okay, now I'm going to put a little bit more. Now this is the darker, and this tip has kind of seen better days. So I have to be careful how I'm laying down this color. Okay. Then we're going to go to the Poppy Parade. So I'm going to do the lighter one here first. Kind of focus on that more towards the ends. Leaving kind of the Flirty Flamingo a little lighter up there towards the center. Okay. And then I'm going to take the dark Poppy Parade to kind of finish off the highlights on these petals. This is kind of fun, pretending I'm an artist. I am not an artist, but Stampin' Up! Helps me fake it, and I love that. Okay, so we've got the different colors coming through. Now, a little tip, we have this marker called, this is actually a color lifter. It'll take a little color out. So if I want to take this and I want to make some more streaks in my petals, I can do this. And when this dries and evaporates, it actually takes away some of the color. So also, if you get outside of your lines, you can use a color lifter to actually make it disappear. It's pretty magic. Okay, so I've taken a little of that color off. Let me just show you that a little up more closely so you can see in these centers. That color lifter just took some of the intensity away. All right, and now I'm going to make my flower center. We're just going to go Daffodil Delight. Here's the light one. And then I'm going to shade it with the dark one. Kind of like where all these dots are. Maybe around this edge a little bit. Leaving that lighter spot there. And to blend that together, I'm going to bring back in the lighter one and blend it a little bit. And then to make those dots show up, I'm going to take my crumb cake and I am literally going to make some polka dots. And that will make it look real. And then with this one now, I have real red. I'm going to actually, well, our butterfly or our ladybugs won't match. So I'm going to stick with dark Poppy Parade for this ladybug. All right. But I'm not done yet. What do I want to do to make this pop? I'm going to get my little Wink of Stella, my glitter pen, and I want these petals to shine with some dew. So I am going to just paint a little glitter on them. And so right away, when your friend, your family, your special person opens this card, they're going to go, oh my gosh, look at that. I don't know about you, but when I hear someone say that, that is music to my ears. It's like high five. Okay, I'm going to let that dry just a little bit, but can you see the glitter on there? I'm going to do a little more. It's a shimmery glitter. So I do put it over the whole surface of the flower petals because I want the whole petal to have this sheen and glitter on it. And that's also why I put 2 layers on. Just add a little more glitz. All right, so I'm going to let that dry a moment. And then let's talk about embellishments now. So I'm going to put them on here before they go onto the card. So this one, I want to do the brush butterflies. because of all the little flowers. So if you remember when we had these, I just love these. They had them in the clearance rack. I don't know if they're all gone from there now, but they are so adorable. And let's see, I want to do a large butterfly. And we'll have that one be down here. And then I'm going to do a tiny butterfly up here. And if you want to do 3, I'd add another tiny one. Let's have it be right down there. Okay, so we've got our embellishments on that panel. Now I'm going to use these dots. Now these look 3D when you look at them, but they're flat. So these are awesome for mailing cards. And I'm going to put 3 of them on the front here. And I'm going to go with the, let's see, what colors? They say petal pink and gold. I'm going to put the petal pink ones on here since we have the gold butterflies on that other label, right? And I'm going to go with a big one, and then I'm going to go with 2 smaller ones. Okay. Then let's go ahead and glue these together, and then I'll show you how I'm actually going to keep the card closed when I put it in the envelope. So we've got our structured card here. Let's go ahead and glue the insert in first. Oops, I got card pieces sliding around. All right, so let's go like this. And I just want to center this on the black card layer. Isn't that pretty how the greens pick up? I really love that. Okay, now we're going to do the second one here. Because of the trifold, I would not suggest using dimensionals on this. I would put these all flat because this is going to be a little bulky just by the very nature of the design. So I am gluing these all on here flat. Okay. And these butterflies are so nice and flat. They fit in here really good. Okay. Then let's get our third one, and we're going to put that on top here. And I'll just center that. Now, I really think having a contrasting color behind the white, and even if you were just doing designer series paper squares, makes this pop. I have seen this design without doing this layered. I like it layered. It really adds something. Okay, well then I found, so you can see that there's Flirty Flamingo in this designer series paper. Well, from back in the day, I had this designer series. I had ribbon that was Flirty Flamingo, and this is some skinny Flirty Flamingo, I'll tell you. And I didn't want to have to tie the bow again because it was kind of a Dickens. But I put this on, and then I'm sliding it down. And this is matching the gems, so that's kind of fun, right? And I am sliding this so the bow is going to be down in the corner here. Kind of above my, I want the ladybug to show. And see, I kind of like that all 3 of them show, and there's another one in here when you do this. So that is how I'm finishing this card. Let me get all these stamping blends out of here. Oh, Donna, thank you. So we've got the outside of the card, and here is the inside of the card. What do you think? And what questions do you have as far as us making this together? And the other thing that I want to share with you is some other cards I've been making this week. So I want to give you a minute if you have any questions or feedback on this before I share these other cards. Hi, Nancy. Nice to see you. All right. Let me move to these other cards and give you a little update. So I'm just going to slide these aside for right now. So I've been doing coffee and cards this week as a whole new type of class. And actually, it's 5 days. And I had the option to order a card kit. And I sent people the card kits in the mail. Now, those and that time has passed, but I'm still offering the class. This is in a Facebook group. So if you buy this class, it's $24.95. You get access to the Facebook group. And it's going to be all 5 broadcasts of making 5 different cards. And it's going to have the tutorial for each of those cards, as well as anybody that's in this class and in the Facebook group is going to be able to share the cards they make, either out of the card kit or their own paper. And I kind of have a little fun going on that there's going to be some prize drawings for people sharing things and sharing comments. So this was Monday, and this is called a collage card. And this was really fun. And actually, when they bought the card kit, I even did all the die cuts and everything for them. So that is Monday. Tuesday was a modified gate card. And I am sharing some of my favorite retired papers. So this was called Share What You Love. And then this modified gate opens up with separate hinges to the inside. So that was card 2. And then card 3, which we did this morning, is a landscape-inspired card. These are awesome sympathy cards. You know, Stampin' Up! Has usually at least one type of designer series paper, usually in 6x6, of landscape design. Right now, Thoughtful Journey is in the annual catalog. Meandering Garden was just retired, and we had one called New Horizons, and that's the paper that I used in these card kits. And we have a new stamp set called It's Okay that has awesome sentiments that are really perfect for anyone struggling with things going on with themselves or with family. So these are the 3 cards we've done so far. 2 more to come. We're actually going to do a tri-panel DSP card, and we are going to do a 5-minute fun fold. It is so quick, but gorgeous. And you know what? That is my only video on YouTube that's gone viral. So I'm going to be sharing that card design with this group as well. Anyway, with that being said, it's not too late. You can still join me if you hit the coffee or cards and coffee button on my business page here. You can still join and have all the fun, just not the card kit. But you can use your own supplies. So I guess with that, I am going to say, thank you so much for joining me today. It's always a pleasure to share fun stamping projects with you. And I will look forward to seeing you next week. Can you believe? Well, before next week, remember Friday, sign up for the free webinar so that you can see another card using the Mixed Media Florals suite. This is incredible, and it could take care of all of your spring card making needs. And then next week, we're going to have a paper pumpkin workshop, and we're going to have a free card making lesson on Wednesday. So lots to come, lots of fun. Don't hesitate to reach out to me at Traci, Traci, at plumcrazystamping.com if there's anything that I can help you with. Happy stamping, friends. Bye-bye now.